Welcome to another episode of Port Charles Chat. I'm Mom.
And I'm Brandon.
Thank you so much for joining us today.
Yes, thank you for joining us.
Yes, and we are going to get down to it because we are ready to talk about what an exciting week we had last week, and we're going to talk about the week of June 9th through 13th. We're sorry we're a little late this week, but the day of the recording is on June the 17th, and I have not seen anything this week. All right, Brandon, you ready?
Mom, I'm ready for number 50. How about you?
I am ready for number 50 also. Thank you guys for watching for 50 episodes for us for Port Charles Chat. Alrighty, I want to divide this up into four different sections in regards to our just kind of reflection of the week. I want to talk about first about Michael and Willow and the trial. So we kind of put them all together. Well, what can I say? I thought that trial was well done. I thought there was an excitement to it. There was intensity, humorous moments, and then emotional moments at the same time. I thought they did a wonderful job with writing and creating this trial. We'll talk about the big thing in just a minute, but what were your overall thoughts of the trial, Brandon?
Oh, yeah. I really liked the trial. I liked that one wasn't just a one and done day, but that they stretched it out throughout a majority of the middle week. And that, I just thought that they gave time for Diane to shine, Rick to shine, and everyone in the gallery, so to speak. I just thought it was really well done, and I like the judge actually.
Yeah, actually, same here, same here. I thought they did a wonderful job, and their acting was superb in this particular episode on these episodes. I like that some secrets were revealed. I was not expecting for Sasha's reveal to come so soon with Michael, especially with everyone there. But I thought it was effectively done. Your thoughts on the reveal for Sasha's baby?
Yeah, I definitely enjoyed it when it happened. I'm glad that they were able to make that cohesive. And who doesn't love a courtroom birth during custody battle?
I know. And it wasn't a big deal. And then, of course, they could not find an ambulance. And Willow was kind enough to help with the delivery, which I thought was very impactful for her to just to be helping, knowing that this is Michael's child. And so, like I said, once more, superb job. Of course, I want to talk about the big thing that came, and that has to be Willow. When the verdict was read, and I was not anticipating this verdict, I really don't know what I expected. Well, I should say portion of me thought that the judge would grant custody to someone who was not Michael and Willow. So I really was surprised when I was really surprised when Michael received full custody of of his children. Um, but when Willow broke down, that was a scene I was not expecting, and she deserves credit for having shown what a wonderful actress that she is, or that what she's capable of doing. I did not know, to be quite honest, that Willow could act that well, and she did it in that one scene. All right, Brandon, your thoughts?
Yeah, same here. And even if you ask my brothers, he'd said that she had phenomenal acting, best that we've seen of Will. And I fully agree with that. I definitely was not expecting it, but I like it. That truly, the kids were her whole life. Everything that she's been doing with Drew over these past few months, she's per se done it for the kids and all with Drew's manipulation. And so, to seeing it all sort of fall apart all at once, I think really says that enough. Where Carly and Michael and Jason were all impacted. But yeah, I definitely was shocked about that. Although I'm sure Jason was disappointed that he couldn't fly everyone off in this jet.
Yeah, I'm sure he was. But I will say, even Rick was touched by the scene. And so I just thought it was wonderfully done. Now, of course, on Friday when we left this, I think it was on Thursday. Willow was in the hospital, and like I said, I have not seen this week yet, so I'm not quite sure how this has ended up. But great job. So like I said, first I want to talk about the trial. Is there anything else, Brandon, that you'd like to bring up about the trial?
Willow, for whatever it's worth, was granted custody of her clothes, her car, and her artwork. So at least she's not empty-handed. Michael doesn't have a vehicle to drive these children around in now.
Yeah, that's the guy. He's a quartermain. He will get a vehicle. And then from there, let's talk a little bit about the second storyline that was present, and that's with Lucky and with Liz. Um, Lucky did propose to Liz, and Liz turned him down. Then all of a sudden, he's decided that he wants to leave town. And so, but what I liked about this week was that they allowed Lucky to say goodbye to everyone. And because that doesn't always happen on a soap, and they found the appropriate people for him to say goodbye to. Of course, his mom and his sister, and Liz. And then I thought they did a nice job, and they gave some time letting him say his goodbyes to them. And then even Isaiah, who is now the owner of a cabin. And so I'm wondering what the significance of this will be. But it was just very nicely done. Your thoughts?
Yeah, so glad that he was able to say his goodbyes. Well, we've liked to see more goodbyes, yeah, but I think for whatever it's worth, it made sense for the Lucky character, and I thought we were able to provide some closure. And I thought was what was an interesting device the show used that I think worked to its benefit is that they started off with the sort of the end of the Lucky Elizabeth relationship, then with her declining the proposal and him being like, "That's it, I'm skipping town." Um, I can't be here for this. But then to find out that he's taking Aiden, it's like, okay, so he's making up for something. He's just not going to be a missing father again. And then we took it one up. He said his goodbyes. It's like still felt a little abrupt, but the fact that we got that additional goodbye from Elizabeth, I thought really made it worthwhile because they just kept adding these extra elements to it that we weren't. But yeah, it didn't really foreshadow it happening. So being able to see those additional layers, I'm glad that the show was able to take that time and do it right. I hope that we do see Lucky a little bit sooner as opposed to later, but I'm okay with the closure that they gave him.
Yeah, actually, same here. And I was very delighted to see Aiden was actually on there, and that they had some foresight to allow Lucky to take him on a trip or to explore Europe with him or whatever he's doing. But I like that they're including Aiden with him. All right. So that was number two. Number three, Natalia. Okay, I was not expecting Natalia to be arrested. Um, and then to see the ramifications of it, which really happened this week. And so that surprised me, although I don't know why, but I shouldn't be surprised about it. What were your thoughts about Natalia being arrested?
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't really per se shocked when I saw her all bubbly and and all upset about Marcus. I was like, "What is she gonna?" Yeah, and then uh, I was like, "Okay, she's gonna go after him and try to make up for lost time with boys." I was like, "What's she gonna do? Get a DUI?" It's like, "Oh wow, she got a DUI."
Yeah.
So I didn't expect the show to go there, but I thought it was interesting that they're incorporating the whole ADA or now acting DA Turner to this whole situation, which I thought was an interesting take, and that she has a choice. She can go to prison for 5 years, or she can help out Sonny. So, well, yeah. So, go to prison for 5 years, or turn over evidence against Sonny. And so, you know, Sonny I don't know. I think this whole situation is going to be kind of interesting because Sonny's not one to per se turn away from his people because he has that intense loyalty. But in the same regard, they're going to go down before he does. So I think it's going to be interesting to see where this all sort of lies and will this culminate in a boyish return?
Yep, that's a good question there too, and of course that by being arrested, that leads Natalia to turn to her son. And so I thought that was a good play to bring him in on this too. And so when I last watched, they were getting ready to talk. All right. And then the last storyline I kind of want to talk about is Christina because she's got a new plan. And doesn't everybody love Christina's plans? And so, um, and so Christina's plan is to have Cody kind of seduce Ava. So they can kind of break Ava and Rick apart. Now, I will say that Alexis's eyes when she heard that was just kind of funny, but that's Christina and what she's doing. And what's interesting is that Cody is agreeing to do this. All right, Brandon, your thoughts about Christina and Cody?
Yeah, I thought that was quite interesting, and I was getting a little worried because I saw Christina, yeah, going back to that Metro Court pool and looking, staring straight at that window, and it's like, oh dear, what is she doing? And Ava's there too, but this whole plan of hers, I thought was interesting that she's normally very impulsive and does reckless things. So now that she's being planned and is planning to do said reckless things, I think we should all, everyone in Port Charles should be concerned because if she's making all of this damage impulsively, what is she going to do planned?
Yes, very true. Yeah, the ramifications of a planned devious act by Christina will be interesting. Uh, all righty. And so, Brandon, were there any other storylines that you want to talk about that occurred this week?
Well, there is one that isn't per se the main thing of this week, but I think is easily a next tier important for the week.
All right, what is that?
Uh, let's see, Mr. Martin Gray has returned.
Yes, he has. Mr. Martin Gray has returned. And what will he be up to next?
Yeah, and I can see that Drew has already ditched Rick as his lawyer and went straight back to Martin.
Yes, he has. Well, Drew likes to win, and Rick did not win his case. Now, we're not quite sure if Martin won his case, but but anyway, so that was it for General Hospital. Just the four main storylines. I know there were some other little things that were going on. I know that Felicia is being hired by Curtis to help find Jacinda. And we know that Brooklyn was on there and Tracy, and so all those things were still going on. Those are the four storylines that just stood out though for me for last week. So let's go to the performer of the week, Brandon. For me, by far, it's Willow. And so I didn't even have a number two. That scene did it for me. And so I am giving Willow the performer of the week. All right, Brandon, what about you?
It's well out of the way. I mean, I don't. After her performance, I don't think it's any contest. I mean, I think everyone, especially those courtroom scenes, did a great job. But I think Willow just truly stood out.
Yes, she did. All right, and then we have our amusing scenes of the week. There were just a couple for me. First of all, Tracy went on and on about her past marriages. That in itself was amusing to me. And then once more, Alexis, when she found out about Christina's plans, just the look on her face as she kind of listened to it, that was amusing. Brandon, what about amusing scenes for you?
Yeah, I mean, we're definitely a little bit removed from last week, but I definitely remember those being some fun months, and actually everything with Martin, just because he's all over the place and being flat broke, and trying to his conversation with Tracy, and his conversation with Laura, I thought was just so amusing, and everything. So I would say that in addition to what you're saying.
All righty. And then we have our touching scenes of the week. And for me, it would be Lucky, of course, saying goodbye to everybody. And then Willow at the end of the courtroom scene. Those two are my touching scenes of the week. How about you, Brian?
Yeah, I would definitely say those. And even Michael speaking to Wiley, telling him that he's not going to see mommy for a while.
Yeah, that was very touching point. And actually, even just having Willow and Michael together, to me, that was very touching because new Michael seems to have chemistry with Willow, and I liked it when they were talking, even though he was busy with you know, you know, girlfriend number, whatever, who's having a baby. I did like the emotional scenes that he had with Willow. All right, and then as for fast forward moments, I'm so sorry, Kai and Trina, but it's you. This week didn't quite do it. I know that Trina had a nice conversation with Ava, but for both of them together, the conversations were just kind of boring to me. Brand, did you have fast forward moments this week?
I don't really know if I necessarily had one at this point in time.
Okay. And then we said goodbye to Lucky. So and Aiden. So goodbye to Lucky and Aiden. We welcome back Martin, and at the same time we're welcoming back Martin, and then we're also welcoming back Aiden, who left and then who came and then left. So he's in two places this week. All right. And then my question of where are they? First of all, where is Gio? I think he was missing most of the week. Um, where's Emma? She is missing. And then Jocelyn. I wasn't sure if she was on Monday or not, but she was missing the rest of the week. All right, Brandon, where did you have any where are they moments?
Uh, sort of. So So I know that for me, the one I was thinking about, while we do know where he is now in Port Charles, Kevin, because they did mention that Willow needs psychiatric treatment, and to the best of my knowledge, Kevin is the only person I know. So unless you're going to do like a temporary Kevin or off screen or whatever, or a completely different psychiatrist, I'm curious as to where they're going to go with that route.
Yeah, that'll be interesting too. Maybe they're going to bring in someone new for. And then as for what I'm looking forward to for next week or for this week that I haven't seen yet, that would be I want to see how far they go with Willow and to see how that kind of goes together. I would like to see the rest of Natalia and Marco and see what they're kind of up to together, and to see whether or not he's going to go and then tell his father. So that should be interesting too. And then, of course, we got New Michael, who I really like, and so I'd like to see where they plan to take New Michael on what they plan to do with him. So this is what I'm looking forward to so far for this week. What about you, Brandon?
Yeah, in terms of this week, I would have to say I'm curious as to where this whole Willow thing's going to go, and especially in regard to Drew. I mean, I don't foresee Drew leaving Willow anytime soon, regardless of what he's saying on Friday and putting Willow above himself. I don't foresee that happening, but I don't know where they're going to go with this. I mean, they could very easily say, you know what, Willow and Drew are now this regular couple that's off screen and just a normal everyday couple now that this is over, but I don't think that's the route they're heading. The question is, what do you do with Drew? And then also we have the thing with ADA Turner finding that evidence against Sonny through Natalia. Is this Jagger all over again?
It sure is. It sure is Jagger all over again. And I told you my suspicions is that this is actually Jagger's sister, because no one would know what she looks like at this point. So that's just me speaking. I don't know if the audience knows that Jagger did have a sister, and she just popped up periodically. Um, but those are my thoughts for the week, Brandon. Anything you'd like to add?
No, I think that is, like I said, it for me. And yeah, I mean, now that this is our 50th one, I mean, we've definitely had a lot accomplished within a very short period of time.
Yes, we sure have, Brandon. And we thank our audience for watching and listening with us.
Yes, we definitely do. And Mom, I hope that you've enjoyed this discussion right after your birthday weekend.
I sure have. Thank you, Brandon. Thank you for the thoughts. And so we thank everybody for watching today, and we hope to see you next time.
Have a great day.
All right, bye bye, everybody.